Hey guys, today I want to do a little bit of a different video. It's not a farming strategy, it's not a showcase of anything special. It's more like a little bit of real talk and a little bit of like opinion throwing. I wanted to talk about something which, I don't know, like, I just hate looking at build guides, because whenever I look at build guides like on YouTube or I check like PoE Ninja, of course, like you can use that and it's cool, it's not bad. But one thing which always sucks is, in my opinion, how people are actually building their builds. Because I think to have a good character, like a good character is based on three stats, I think. First of all, obviously damage, then like the AoE clear, and the defense. And it's easy to go full damage. It's easy to go full clear, it's easy to go full defense, but having a build which is able to do everything is kind of hard. Or at least it's not really hard, but I think you have to be able to have a good amount of knowledge in this game to be able to do that. I think that's what most people don't really understand, that currency alone is not enough to make a good character. Like, even if you have 500 mirrors, you can't make all of the builds turned into like god mode builds. For example, my character. Obviously, ignore my gear. This is like random crafted gear I bought for like 1 chaos in the trade so I can slot my gems. I will go mirror all the items tomorrow. But it's an armor stacker smite. I bought the chestplate today for some mirrors and the swords. And this is like a perfect character. I will have like 50 million armor, hundreds of millions of DPS. I will have 200% item quantity, about 350% movement speed. I have a mapping setup which I made my own. Like I made my mapping setup. I'm using Awakened Increased AoE, Ancestral Call, and I'm using this weird enchantment on my amulet, like most people using Charisma. I think I'm the only one in the game who's using this weird enchantment. I don't know how it's called, but it grants me additional strike target range because I want to focus more on AoE. Because I have hundreds of millions DPS, I have millions of effective hit pool, I'm immortal, now I need clear. And with this self-made variant, I will just call it like this, I have got like clear, like kind of the same like tornado shot, kinetic blast. And it means a lot if I say that because kinetic blast is the best clear speed skill in the game. So if I compare this to smite, then yeah, my build will be pretty good. But how did I make my char? Of course, it's worth a lot. I mean, in the armor stacking scene, it's probably still kinda budget because it's only 15 mirror, which is not a lot for armor stacking. I could go for the tattooed version and have like, billions of DPS and everything, but there's would be like 200 mirrors and I don't have that. I have a life. No, but what I wanted to talk about is mirrors alone, are not everything you need in this game. For example, back in the day, I made a Blade Vortex character. You can see it on my channel. I think I made one video out of it. I made a Blade Vortex character where I kind of focused on the defense. I had like 90 max res, suppression, evasion, armor, 9k ES, leech, ES on hit, like everything in the book you want. It was insane. I could kind of AFK everything. So it was cool. I had good AoE clear because it's a Blade Vortex character, obviously full screen explosions and stuff. The only thing which was not good was the damage. I had 55 million damage, and trust me, 55 million damage with kinetic, no, not kinetic blast, with Blade Vortex is absolutely trash. I think to be able to like kill Uber bosses at least like, in like 2 seconds You probably want at least 150 million damage with Blade Vortex, and it was impossible to reach, you know? I spent like 10 mirrors into this character, and even if I had like 100 mirror left, it would have been impossible to reach this amount of damage, you know? It's impossible. Because and like that's kind of the whole point of the video, you know, just to help probably the beginners. Maybe someone will watch this video as a beginner, you know. I hope so. It's important that you choose a skill which is able to scale on damage, clear, and defense kind of the same amount, you know? Because I always call it like the perfect build, you know? If you make a bow build, of course, you have good damage, you have good clear, but you're one tap, you're a glass cannon, you know? Like you're just one tap, and at least in my opinion, it's not fun to do that, you know? For example, you go Tornado Shot Deadeye. Sure, you have probably the best clear speed in the game. You have everything you want, you know, but you're one tap. And I don't think that's fun. You could go for Pathfinder to have more defense, okay, sure, but that's like okay-ish defense, you know, okay-ish damage. And the game gets harder every single league, you know, the content is always harder than the other league. Okay-ish damage and okay-ish defense is just not enough anymore to be able to do this game, you know, to play it on a chill level. It's not enough. You need a good build. And of course you need currency for a good build, but it's not about the currency, it's about the knowledge, you know? And that's why I'm always like saying I hate build guides, you know, because if I look at build guides on YouTube, I always see people who have no idea what they're talking about. For example, my main build is a Kinetic Blast Int Trickster. It's probably one of the best builds in the game, you know. It's pretty fun, it's cool, yeah, it's everything you want. It's good damage, it's good defense, it's good clear speed, you know. I probably watched every single build showcase on YouTube about Kinetic Blast Trickster over the past months. Probably every single video, you know, from every YouTuber, big and small, whatever. And every video I watched, I haven't seen a single one where someone had more than 12 million DPS. And I'm not talking about like minions and Merc or however this guy is called with like Dorianis prototype and stuff, you know. I'm not counting that in because this is not real damage. I'm talking about the skill, like I'm talking about the hit base damage, you know. I haven't seen a single one with more than 12 million damage. And that's kinda insane. Because, you know, I looked at it and I was like, what are they doing? Like, what? I made my own character with 16 million damage. And I know it's not a lot, but it's at least 4 million more than everyone on YouTube, you know? With the same level of investment, with the same gear, kinda. And that's what I mean. I think the problem about build guides nowadays is that people focus on the wrong stats. They either go too much into defense, which is useless, or they go too much into clear, which is also useless, you know? Like, you need to have like, I don't know how to explain it, you know, but you have to have a skill and a build which is able to be balanced on everything, I think. You know, an AoE clear is probably also like explosions, for example. And if you look at explosions, you obviously have Blade Vortex. But like I said, Blade Vortex, the scaling for Blade Vortex damage is absolutely garbage. So the only good way to play Blade Vortex is Val Blade Vortex. It's probably, besides Armor Stacker, one of the best builds in the game, probably. Val Blade Vortex, but you know, it's pretty untanky because it's just abusing Headhunter. Without Headhunter, it's shit. And as you can see, guys, I'm not a Headhunter fan. I hate Headhunter. So I'm not really a fan of that. Or explosions. What else can you play with explosions? You could play Penance Brand, for example. Where is it here? Penance Brand. You know? You have a good amount of damage. I would probably play it with Inquisitor to have like triple explosions and stuff. But, just look at this. You have a good amount of damage, but your hit pool is garbage. Absolutely shit. I mean, look at this character, for example. You have nothing here. It's garbage. I mean, it's probably a bossa, okay, but still. It's garbage, It's a shit build. And like I always try to make my own builds. No, not even once in my life I followed a build guide. Like because everything you find on YouTube is garbage, kinda. It's either too little defense, too little damage, too shitty clear speed. Or when I made my Flicker Strike back in the day, if you search on YouTube Flicker Strike tutorial, whatever, you probably only find some weird, slow, untanky Raider versions, you know? And I made my own version back in the day. I made a Slayer, I built it with Herald of Ice, with AoE scaling, Endure Charge stacking. I had like 300,000 hit pool, I think, 300 million damage, attack rate of like 30.0. That was another perfect character in my terms, And you wouldn't find this on YouTube anywhere. And that's what I mean. You, like to all the beginners also outside there who will watch this video one day. I think it's pretty good if you make your own builds, Get some inspiration, understand how a build and how a gem is working, but then don't follow some weird random build guides. Make your own thing, And make it the right way. For example, my build now. Obviously, it's not done like I said, but like if you search on YouTube Armor Stacker Smite, do it. You will only find some slow garbage versions, with like 100 movement speed. It takes like 10 minutes per map because you're slow as fuck. You have not really good damage, or you have good damage, but then you're slow, or you lack defense, or whatever, And what did I do? 1 week ago, I had zero idea how armor stacking works, I never played it. But I always wanted to try it. And, I got some inspiration. I took like an hour of my time. I understood how armor stacking works, what I need in my char. And then on 2 evenings, I simulated or created a POB, And this is probably the #1 armor stacker in the game. Not in damage and not in defense, obviously. There are way better characters out there. But I think in terms of clear speed, in combination with defense and damage, it's probably gonna be one of the best smite builds out there. And I made that with like 10 mirrors, And this is nothing. Like that's what I'm trying to say, guys. Don't follow build guides, it's a waste of time. Make your own characters, get some knowledge, you need experience, and in the end, it's not really a question about money, You don't need 500 mirrors, you don't need 50 mirrors, You don't need that. The only thing that actually matters is to know what you're doing, I think, And to have to focus on the right things. You don't need 30,000 energy shield, If you have 0 damage in the end. You have to find a balance, You don't need 500 million damage, but then no defense, Find the balance. Find the perfect middle spot. So you can call your character perfect. That's the only way of playing Path of Exile in my eyes. That's why I would never play something like I would never play bow characters, It's, I mean, I did back in the day because there was a nice trick where I was actually tanky. That's another good example. Back in the day, I made my own tornado shot. You can see it on the channel like 2 years ago. I don't know. I looked at YouTube. Obviously, I found only absolute garbage build guides. either I found build guides where people had like 0 damage and 0 defense, or I found build guides where people had like 200 million damage, but only like 2000 life and 0 defenses. But hey, at least they one-shot Ubers, right? That's so important, right? No, you know, I understood how the gem works, how the build works, and then I made my own. I went into PoB and simulated. And in the end, I made my own version with Perma Rage, Calm Spirit, kinda Perma Berserk. I think I had 580% movement speed. I had about 60,000 hit pool. I know it doesn't sound a lot, but trust me, on a Tornado Shot character, this is really much. I had instant leech. I think I had 5,000 life. And I had the same damage output like the guys with 200 million damage, you know? But at the same time, I was 20 times tankier. And I didn't do this with a budget of 50 mirror, you know? I did it with the same budget. I didn't even have 10 mirrors back in the day, and I still did it, you know? How did I do it? I guess not being stupid. I don't know how to explain it, you know, but that's basically the whole point of the video. It's important that you make your own builds, you know? Don't follow just random build guides, you know? It's a waste of time, kinda. And you don't need a lot of money to play Path of Exile. That's, I think, also important to say. You don't need 300 mirrors to make a good character, you know? I can make a good character for 10 mirrors, which is capable of the same things like a character for 200 mirrors, you know? All I need is knowledge and experience. That's it. My friend has an armor stacker which is worth probably 150 mirror, you know? And it's slower than my character. And it's even less damage. And I'm just laughing at him, you know, because I spent not even a tenth of his invest, and my character is still 5 times better. That's what I mean. I just think it's so funny if you think about that. But yeah, that's basically the point of the video. No, I just wanted to rant a little bit, I guess, because it's so annoying to see build guides on YouTube when all the builds are just trash, slow, or for totally beginners or noobs or whatever. And no, it's not about having money. Like I said, it's about not blindly following random build guides. You know, make your own characters, think a little bit, use PoB, that's really important. You know, make an empty PoB and then start building a character from 0 and simulate it. And then you can buy the gear, craft it yourself, whatever. That's important. Maybe for all the beginners out there. Use PoB, that's really important. And don't follow random build guides, you know. Try to find the perfect balance between defense and damage. Make good characters, okay? And not just characters which have like high damage input, but then 0 defense, or high defense but 0 damage. It always annoys me so much to see that, because I'm just wondering, like, what is wrong with you? Why do you choose to play a version of your build which is so trash when you could make something so much better out of it? What is wrong with you? I don't know. But yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments if you have any input, if I was wrong with something. But yeah, that's it for now. See ya later.